sanitization points. There'll be several sanitization points across both the clubhouse and the beach area, and all craft, we will have COVID officers spraying off craft, flags, batons will be sanitized between each use, etc. So there is a lot of it that goes in behind the scenes that makes it more difficult. But with the right team managers and everybody just abiding by the rules, we'll have a really smooth and successful competition. The award, so on the marshalling, one thing I wanted to mention, where I think it was Durban that came up with the idea, whatever it was, but it's absolutely brilliant that when the kids or the competitors are called to go in the marshalling arena, they can use their skull cap as a face mask around their face until they get onto the start line, and then they will be instructed to put their caps on their head and complete the race. In events when they're doing like flags or at the pool, they will need to have a mask in a Ziploc bag, clearly labeled. At the pool, when they're at the starting block, those masks will be collected by one of the officials, and they'll be taken to the other end of the pool or to the finish line, where they can retrieve their masks in a sealed, labeled bag. And as soon as they finish, the mask has to go on. So the only time we can't have masks on the beach is eating or actually competing during an event. And the same situation will work for flags and sprints. You'll hand in your mask in the beginning in a bag, and you'll collect it after the event. So that's just something else I just wanted to cover there on the marshalling of events. In between events, we're going to be having the award presentations, the medals on the beach. There will be a separate stage for it at the end of the sprint track. A lot of you saw the media stage we used last year and the one for opening ceremony. During the day over the PA system, the awards will be announced. Competitors will come up, no gathering of clubs allowed or anything. We'll have our photographer there. They can be accompanied by a coach or a friend if they want to get a photo with their phone, provided obviously everyone follows social distancing. They'll come up to the stage, they'll walk up onto their stage, collect the medal. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to do any handshakes, so we'll do like a little Chinese, Japanese nod at each other, acknowledge their medal and what they've earned, and then they'll walk further onto the stage, where there will be a backdrop, a photo op, professional photographer, and they can go back to the club tent after they've received their medals. In terms of club facilities, as per every year, ablution blocks is going to be the ablution block just outside the clubhouse itself at the entrance by the screening. It will be part of the area where you are allowed to go and you don't have to be re-screened coming back in. The bathrooms up at the club, unfortunately, only for officials and staff. And then we'll have both medical available on the beach and up at the clubhouse. So, yeah. In terms of security this year, guys, as you know, in PE, we've in the number of years we've had it, I think we've had one or two minor security issues. I think it was a bodyboard one year and a bag the other year, worst case. We've got a lot of security on site this year. It's definitely not essential if any of you want to apply for your own security guard, but I don't think it's necessary. It's a fully enclosed area. We have 12 security guards roaming the area, the parking lot, the checkpoints, and we have 4 of them on the beach and at the clubhouse at night. So your craft will be pretty safe. We've never had any issues overnight with craft. So that's from a security perspective. I did cover a bit of the food and beverage options. We'll have your basic beverages available up at the club. But once again, if I can just ask the coaches or the managers, sorry, that when kids need cool drink, preferably rather buy a couple at a time, take it down in a bag, or bring a cooler box with liquids if you want, because we just want to avoid people up and down to the club the whole time. Puts a bit of pressure on the security and the COVID checkpoint. And number 2 is we just don't want people gathering in groups or not following social distancing rules. Up at the club, we'll still have the beach bar for the lucky few numbers that do get in first. Obviously, everything's done in terms of the government regulation, so we're only taking 50% of the capacity. Rules are in the same as those areas. Social distancing applies, wearing your mask, sanitization, and obviously the hours that the club is open will fall within the COVID regulation too. So currently the club will be closing at 9 o'clock for any functions. If you have any queries on that, just pop myself an email. With regards to ablutions at the pool, we will be using the main parking lot, not jump the gun. Main parking lot at the pool coming in, you'll have your COVID checkpoint. Currently, as you're aware, we limited to 250. We will have a stretch tent outside. Together with our officials and daily competitors, we are well within the limit, so we don't have any issues there. And there will also be food options as well as lunch packs available. Sorry, I don't know if when I mentioned the clubs, the surf clubs lunch packs, there will still be a limited menu of burger, chips, chicken nuggets, which will also go out for people that haven't pre-ordered or people that are up and around at the club during the day. Craft storage, we've only got security on site from 30th of September. If anybody needs to send down craft early, please, you need to notify me so we can just have a secure area for it. There is security from the 30th, so just let me know if you need storage for any craft. During the day, craft will be stored within the competition area itself and not in the trailer park, as you can't just access in and out without going around and through the COVID checkpoints. And at night, it's recommended, if you're not taking your craft back to your accommodation, then to just keep your craft locked up, or not locked up, but in your tent where the security can watch it. Guys, I think I've covered a lot in terms of the operations, who we're dealing with. I did mention the 14-day screening is very important. If the guys don't do the screening the night before, it's just going to put a backlog on getting the people through the gates in the morning and just create crowding. So it's a quick, simple, on your phone, fill it in, send it through, your name will be on the list, temperature check, sign, and off you go. Team changes, so team entries and withdrawals will be allowed until 7 p.m. on the evening before the event. There's a change in the system, and because of the protocols that we have to change when it's numbers, especially to number of heats we allowed with compliance. So your changes must be done before 7 o'clock the evening before. And note, no team changes may be done on the day of competition, unless there's a sufficient penalty we can put in place for that. We have got extra sound going in place, so we'll be broadcasting across all the arenas up at the club for the people that are there. So same rules apply for at the pool. At the pool, there will also be award ceremonies during the course of the day. There will be a stretch tent outside with staging and backdrop for that as well. And in terms of access, guys, each age group is allowed one team manager, one coach, and one chaperone per age group. Unless your team, unless it's a nipper team, an underage team or junior team, exceeds 30 competitors, then you're allowed to have a second chaperone or second team manager. It makes no difference, that person will get access. So it's a second chaperone. And then each club, as mentioned before, needs to have a safeguarding officer present at the event. You can have one per club, or you can have one per joint age group because of the way the event is split into various age, but you can't have a safeguarding officer for an under 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, etc. So yeah, if you can have a safety officer for under 10s and under 14s, that's it on that day of competition. So we will be sending out a call for all of these names to be entered prior to the time, and obviously they'll get their tags as well as their daily bands in order to get access. Guys, from my side, yes. Sure, go for it.
Evening, everybody. Apologies for being late. Just had a bit of a family emergency. Just as on the COVID compliance officers and on the safeguarding officers, the team can have one. We don't need one per age group. We need one person. It can be the same person who is either your team manager, your chaperone, or your coach. It does not matter. But we do need to have a person who is responsible for these, for those areas that we need to report back to various government departments and SASCOC. So if you don't mind, if you're forwarding the name of the person, if it's your coach, it's fantastic. But if you can forward those names to head office by Monday at the latest, so that we can print the access labels, if you want to put it there, your access tags, so that we can make sure that it's dispatched and it reaches Port Elizabeth before the event starts.
Awesome. Thanks, Helen, for clarity there.
But any questions?
Okay, yeah, I was going to say at this point now, I'm just going to pause. If anybody has a question on something I haven't covered or a bit more information, if you can just put your hand up first in the chat, if you can just raise your hand and then I'll call on you. So I'll pause there for a minute.
I see Tracy's hand.
Yeah, Tracy, go for it.
Okay, hi everyone. Firstly, before I go, thanks so much, Craig and your team. I think it's awesome that you have done so much work to allow this event to take place. So thanks so much. Firstly, the schedule that has been emailed out, is that the latest and the schedule that we will be following?
Yeah, as much as possible, Tracy, in the next day or two, there's one or two minor more corrections that will be sent out as opposed to changes. The only change, like I mentioned earlier on, is that when we will be running 2 consecutive arenas and not once. So on those certain days, like your 13 and 14s will be in one arena, while your 9 and 10s are in another arena. So just make sure there is sufficient craft for that. Obviously, we're going to stick to the program as best possible. If there's any surf conditions or anything else that we have to deal with on the day, we'll change the program, but we will intend to stick to it. The minor corrections that will go out will include taking the bodyboards off from the under 12s that was on the program, etc. So yeah, that's where we are. I hope that covers your question.
Yeah, and the next question is in terms of the team managers, coaches, and chaperones per age group. When you say per age group, you're talking about under 9 and under 10. There's only one team manager, one coach, one chaperone. Is that correct?
No, most clubs, Helen, correct me if I'm wrong, but they have a separate coach for their under 9s and their under 10s. It's purely just a size issue. We obviously, from our side, we're recommending, if it is the same coach, don't just put someone on the beach so they can watch. These need to be registered coaches with LSA. They need to have their police clearance, their guardian clearances in order for the competition, and they need to have been training with the kids. So, but if your club does run a system where your 9s and 10s are separate manager and coach, that's fine, but definitely not between boys and girls, for instance. If you're only bringing down 5 under 9s and 10 under 10s, then definitely one coach, one manager. We just got to be sort of responsible with how many people we have on the beach.
No, 100%. I know with our East Cape provincial champs, the one obstacle we did have, just in terms of, obviously we were also limited to team managers, coach and chaperones for that event. Obviously the kids need to hydrate, they need to eat, they were freezing cold, probably going to be a similar situation. And when you're limited with your coaches and stuff, it is quite difficult to make sure that everyone's been covered, especially the little ones. So I just wanted to confirm that if the numbers are bigger, that we can obviously make sure that we've got enough, people to help.
Absolutely. And Tracy, you know what? Yeah, for us, safety and looking after the athletes is our first priority. We're not going to expect people to come with a team of 30 and only have 2 people on the beach. So, but like I say, we just got to be considerate and realistic with what the clubs put forward. So yeah, that's the answer to that. I know there are a number of clubs that do have large entries, like 76 nippers, for instance. Then we look at that in a different ratio. So yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. Thanks. And then the other thing is in terms of scrutinizing the craft, when are we going to be doing that?
It will be set up from the day before the event, but the scrutinarian is going to run slightly different this year. As you know, in the past, it's normally caused like a bit of a bottleneck on the beach with rows and rows of craft. So the way we're going to work this year is our dedicated scrutineer. His details will be put out before the compo. You need to make contact with him at the beach and literally give him your craft number, your club, etc., and they would actually have to go around the beach, measure up on site, do the scrutinarian like that, or alternatively call you with your craft if it's large ski or something to scrutinize it. But it's not going to be a case that we're going to line it up. We also obviously just do spot scrutinarian if there are any craft that haven't been done, but that's also something that we're just going to have to deal with the best of our abilities without creating that bottleneck and crowd on the beach. So I think it's just the responsibility of every club, once again, just to be honest and make sure that your craft is LSA spec and branded, as we will be doing checks along the way. So yeah.
Okay, sorry about all my questions. And the other thing is the closing date of the team entries is the 25th of September. Is that correct?
Let me just check here. I think it's 25th. Helen, confirm. Yes, 25th. Yeah.
Okay, and then my last question is the one email that came through, there was a course for the safeguarding officer.
That's correct. Once we've got all the names, we will send, well, if you send it in by Monday, we will send out the details. It's an online course. It's not a 2-day course. All we are requiring for our safeguarding managers or safeguarding officers at the moment is for them to do the safeguarding awareness certificate. So it's not a detailed as the normal safeguarding officer is for the club. So if your club safeguarding officer is present, they are welcome to be the safeguarding officer allocated to your team. That's fine. But if they're not, whoever is new, we are going to just require them to do a safeguarding awareness certificate. It's a short online, a few modules and question papers and stuff.
Okay. All right. That's all for me. Thanks so much.
Cool. Okay. Thanks, Tracy. David, I see you've got your hand up there.
Hi, it's actually Nikki. Sorry, I didn't change my name.
Nikki, sorry, I'm reading the name. No worries.
Yeah, my question was around the safeguarding officer and the COVID officer, what they need to do, what are their requirements, but I think that's been answered. Just what does the COVID officer have to do for the club?
The COVID officer really needs to have a plan, because if there's anything that happens or if somebody is ill, we're going to hand you that somebody to deal with. The protocols around what happens to them, where do they go, how are they treated, becomes the COVID officer's responsibility.
Okay.
And the reporting back. The reporting back. It's the kind of thing that you've got a team of athletes who are all required, athletes and management, who are all required to complete a 14-day screening report, which needs to be handed into the event COVID officer on the day that they start competing. So that needs to be managed, because the event COVID officer is not going to run around or have long queues of people standing waiting to give them one piece of paper with 14, stand there with a pen and write down 14 days that they can't remember.
Yeah.
So that is basically what the COVID officer is somebody who's actually going to manage that kind of administration for us.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Next, Benita Jones.
Benita, you'll have to unmute.
Okay, I've got unmute. Craig, I just want to ask, I heard you said you're going to have 3 arenas. I emailed you the other day about the craft issue. For the juniors in particular, are you going to run under 19 males and females in one arena, under 17s in one arena, or how's it going to work?
Yes, you'll have your under 19s, 17s, and 15s. They'll all be in that one arena, the male, females, but the age groups will be in a separate arena. So out of the 3 arenas for the juniors and seniors, We have 2 that are set up for both swim and craft events. And then we have 1 arena, which is set up specifically for rescue events. So your Rove boys. So between that, they're not going to be designated to an exact arena, but they will move around with the age, and obviously it will be communicated. But yes, the chances are they won't split up your under 19 boys and girls, because there are various age groups on the beach on the day.
Yeah, so my question was really around, like I said to you, for instance, if we're traveling and how many skis do we need? Are you going to run single ski in every age group at more or less the same time as it's currently per your program? Because then we need significantly more skis than if the under 15s are going to do it at 8 o'clock and the under 17s are going to do it at 9 o'clock kind of thing.
No, you see, Benita, these are things that, because of the increase in the number of arenas that we're going to be running now under level 2, as opposed to the level 3, it's allowed us now to have the 3 arenas. So the amendments to the program will go out, and obviously Yella does take into account the use of craft that we need, etc. So 1 or 2 of the events might adjust in say, for instance, your under 17 arena, to try and eliminate the fact that we got 2 ski races going off at once. Obviously that's our first prize, first of all. Second of all, we'll never start a race if a club is short on craft due to the fact that another age group is using it. However, I recommend that all clubs obviously do bring sufficient craft for their number of members. We're not going to wait because the club's only brought 2 skis, but they've got 8 ski paddlers, you know. So once again, it's those things we'll just be realistic about. But yes, we will amend it accordingly for the next 2 days when we send out the next draft of the program.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome, thank you. I can't keep track of exactly who is next, but I think it's Carrie Prince. Corrie.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Craig. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you very much for all that you and your team are doing to pull this event together. It looks going to be amazing. So my question is mostly pool related, because, and we are mostly Nipper focused from Gauteng. So the program is very much separated into age groups. I understand that. I'm just wondering about the realities of the younger child swimming in the morning, the older child swimming in the afternoon, and there's only one parent around who's a TO or helping out in some capacity and on the team. Is there any facility for the children to stay for the rest of the day once they're finished? Or I assumed that they had to be off-site because of the COVID protocols once they'd finished their morning gala, for instance. Or has any of this changed because of the new rulings with level 2?
Okay, so Corrie, I'll speak. Helen is the pool fundi, so she'll definitely correct me if I'm wrong. But the number of competitors we have on a daily basis are under the allowance. So if you're competing, whether it be in the morning or the afternoon, you will be able to be at the pool. However, if one of the parents are officiating, none of them are officiating half day. So it would be a case they would be there the whole day. But yeah, we can't have people rocking up that are only doing one event at 8 o'clock in the morning and then they stick around and play outside the whole day. You know, we just, like everything, unfortunately, it's just got to be on an individual basis. But Helen, correct me if I'm wrong, the numbers we have got, they are allowed to spend the entire day if they are competing.
Yes.
Okay, that's brilliant. No, that's very helpful. I just assumed that, you know, all the 9s and 10s then had to leave the pool at lunchtime when they were done.
We would like as many of them to do so as possible, but fortunately with the change in the protocols, you know, if we were sitting as where we were last week,
yes,
we would kick everybody out. In fact, we wouldn't have more than 2 heats in the swimming pool enclosed. Everybody else would be sitting on the garden in the bottom. You know, so that is unfortunately the reality.
No, that's great. No, it's very helpful. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Okay. All right.
I'll tell you, moving to this level has been such a blessing for us in terms of the actual organization and how the events run. So yeah. Okay, so that answers that. Next up, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Dion Kutzer from Plet.
No, Sash.
Yeah, Craig. Craig, thanks, man. I just want to ask you a question. Obviously, everything's very crystal clear with regards to the the competition side, but obviously the big question from our side or from the parent side is, can they watch the competition? And my question is, how far will the perimeter be for parents who obviously can't come into the arena to actually watch their kids participating in the flags or the surf arena or the sprint arena? Will it be possible for them to watch from outside the dedicated arena?
Yeah, unfortunately, Dion, I'm going to have to give you a blunt answer here and say no spectators. So in order for us to comply, they need to be 25 meters away from the borderline fence of the entire competition. And we actually have security there. And that's why it's put up front and straight out. We don't want to land up in a situation where we've got under 500 competing officials, etc., and then we land up with a group of 500 parents on either side of the competition, because obviously that's not going to gel well with the government regulation, and we do run a risk of the event being shut down. So like we had at interprovincials, and like it has been put out from the day of entry, and this will probably go till level 0, is that there are no spectators allowed at the event. So from my side, I understand if someone wants to take a walk to the harbour wall and back, but you can't be standing up against the fence trying to look over around and about the tents to watch the flags, or quickly run in like we've had in the past to have a parent run in with the camera for a quick close-up shot. It's strictly regulated. It's a huge event. And as you know, like I've said before, guys, this is not just because of regulations. This is purely so we can protect our athletes, coaches, managers, and officials. The last thing we need is to go through all of this compliance and monitoring when you have a number of people come stand on the edge of the fence, an outbreak occurs, sees the kid after the event, and we have an outbreak again. And these are all the reasons behind the scenes. And like I said earlier, this year, fortunately for the athletes, it's about them. It's not about mom and dad and who's watching the event. It's just about allowing our kids to compete. And that's where I want all clubs to understand how strict we have to be if we'd like to go ahead with competitions over lockdown period, that we need to stick to these regulations. We can't have parents standing up on the dunes because dunes by law are out of bounds. So unfortunately, Dion, that's the answer in a straight way.
That's understandable. Obviously, I just wanted to get clarity, because I'm sure there are lots of clubs out there asking, or they've been asked the same question from many of their parents. So yeah, it's important that we're all on the same page and we understand, the importance of the spectator side. Thanks, Craig.
100%. And like I said, Dion, in the evening functions, if you guys book a self-bra under 50 people, you're more than happy to socialize there up to a maximum amount of people allowed. But during the day, it's a different option. There is the club facility, like I say, that we won't take more than 125 people, which is a quarter of our numbers allowed, just to compensate for official staff, cleaning, etc. But on top of that, for parents, I must also, we will be sending out a letterhead with a whole lot of things to do during the day and places to visit and sightsee. So we will try and assist them that way to keep themselves busy and not too nervous while they're missing the event. But you guys as managers just need to reassure the parents they're in good hands. They will be fed, they'll be hydrated, and hopefully bring back a whole lot of medals. So yeah, that's the answer to you, Dion. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Craig.
No worries.
Okay,
Sash Corris, am I right?
Yeah.
Hi, Craig. Can you hear me?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, great. Hi, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much for organizing this. I'm sure I speak on behalf of all the athletes with saying thank you so much. I'm sure we're all super happy to just be back in the pool and back on the beach. So I know that you said the program has been released, and I have taken a look at that. But then I know when we get to the pool, we normally have like psych sheets, or we have the actual program where you have the events, the heats, the times. So when will that program be released, and when will we have access to it?
Shortly.
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't even finished. There's been a number of clubs with late entries and times not submitted and all of that. So the administration head office is sorting all of that out. So that will be made available in the next couple of days once all the clubs have completed everything that's required for us to put that together. But it will be before the competition.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Craig. Thank you.
Pleasure. Helen, can you note who is next? Okay, Wendy.
Good evening, Craig, Helen. Thanks. Just a quick question. In terms of the safeguarding officer, if that safeguarding officer is at the pool with the nippers, do we need a separate safeguarding officer for the juniors when they're on the beach?
Yes, you do.
I would advise it. Yes. It's not essential, but I would advise it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Corinne.
Sorry, okay, wrong video. Everybody, thank you very much for this opportunity. Just a quick question. In terms of the chaperone, is there any requirements in terms of what they may need or require?
Your chaperone. That's it, just your police clearance.
Just a police clearance for the chaperone?
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you very much. We'll see you there.
Awesome. I don't see any more hands up, so yeah, from my side, I will give another chance just to chat and let Helen close off on anything. But I also just want to thank you guys for your understanding and support for this event. It means a lot to the athletes and the movement to be able to host such a big event during the situation we are in. But like I mentioned, it's just the importance of sticking to what the rules, the regulations are in order to keep everybody safe at the event and have a really successful champs this year. Helen, I don't know if there's anything that you'd like to add, or I will at the same time ask if anyone else has any further questions. You can just put your hand up.
No, just a request from Yella in doing the event for the surf. And aligning the programs, etc. If the teams can please pay attention to, I don't know if Craig has already mentioned this before I got in, but if the teams can please pay attention to your participants who are actually going to participate in an event, rather than teams entering every participant in every event. If you know one of your participants is really not going to do beach flags, please don't put their name down into beach flags, or if they're not going to do the surf swim, please don't put their names down into the surf swim or the board, etc. And that goes for the pool as well. It will just making the heat sheets and the marshalling sheets a lot easier to manage, and will give us a far more realistic look at how we can manage the time frame, both on the beach and at the pool. So if you can just have a good look at that and go into the system and withdraw anybody or add anybody you have left off, so that we can take an updated view in the next day or three, and then we can just make sure that the programs are actually applicable to the numbers of athletes that are going to be participating. We'd really appreciate that. So that was just a request from Yella.
Awesome,
Okay.
Thanks, Helen. And yeah, it's a very, very strong point, guys. Like, it doesn't only mess with the sheets and everything, but it's also the amount of heats we get through. So it's just important to have your entries done correctly. And being a national champs, we don't want little Tommy's paddle the board for the first time to try out national champs for the first time. We want your competitors there, and if they're on the list, just make sure they do compete in the event. I see there was also on the chat there, Ilse has just asked if we could share this recording. I'm sure, Helen, that's not a problem if they'd like to pass it on, if they haven't made notes, if that's fine with you.
Yes, with pleasure, but please note the first portion of the meeting was missed. Unfortunately, my record was not active when I left the meeting.
Yeah, and guys, also note that everything we have discussed tonight has already all actually been sent out in terms of the various emails with protocols and entry forms and requirements and so forth. Tonight was just a reassurance of, I know it's a lot easier when you hear it out of a mouth as to how we're actually going to run it. It makes a lot more sense. So it has, but if you have any other queries or anything, most of you've got my email. If you haven't, you can just direct it to myself at head office, and I will respond to you as quickly as possible. I know a lot of you as coaches and managers pop me a WhatsApp or a call on a regular basis as well, just for a few questions. I really don't mind. I'm open to that too. So yeah, together, just working together to get everything ready for the event. Yeah, looking forward to it, I must say. I see Annelie, you've put your hand up.
Hello, yeah. Sorry, I've missed half of the things. I just want to mention here for on the pool side, I don't know if it was mentioned earlier about the when will we withdrew the team entries and withdrawals that are allowed till 7 o'clock before the event is swam. So I don't know if that was mentioned, Craig.
Yes, we mentioned. Yeah, we mentioned that. So all withdrawals and any team changes must be made before 7 o'clock the night before. I think there was just one other thing, Annelie, that you mentioned the other evening, was that just in the pool there will not be a holding area for any disqualifications. All disqualifications will be notified to the athletes in the pool.
Yes, correct. And then there's one more thing that I just like to mention is with the invite, it went out that we are using the competition manual, but I also just want to include that we also use the amendments of the ILS competition manual, which was in circular 29/2 to 1, I think. So I just want to mention that to the team managers, please.
Okay. Just for everybody's reference, so the juniors and seniors that are looking at world records and are looking at qualifying for world games, etc., please note that ILS is not ratifying our obstacle event because they are 5 centimeters too shallow. But all other events will take place. The start may be switched from the deep end to the shallow end to accommodate ILS rules. So if you have an event that starts in the shallow end and not in the deep end, please bear with us. We need to make sure that we have the correct depth in the pool when we have the event. But other than that, it looks like we have ILS sanctioning for all the other events.
Perfect. Thanks,
Ella. Sash, I see you have your hand up again. Go for it.
Hi, yes, sorry. Just another question. So I know at Interprovincials, some of the World Games qualifying athletes or those that were close to qualifying were able to do time trials. So will we be able to do that at Nationals this year or not?
Can I answer this, Helen?
With pleasure.
No, there won't be a place for that available. That's why we're going to have heats in the morning and finals at night. So you will have 2 opportunities.
2 opportunities.
Am I right?
Okay.
Craig?
That is correct, yes.
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you so much.
Hey guys, I think we've covered everything. I don't see any more hands up. I'd just like to thank you for taking the time tonight. I think we've covered quite a bit of information. Like I said, if there's anything else you require, just get hold of me. But I hope you all have a great evening soon. And I mean, most of all, looking forward to seeing you soon down at PE. And have a great evening. Thank you, everyone. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank